Merry Christmas. Hello. Yes, I'm working Christmas Day. I do a heathen's work. I get paid. Drinking coffee this morning. I should have brought a bottle of Bailey's. Bailey's is sort of a tradition around my family's house. I don't know if it's, probably shouldn't drink and work at the same time though. So it's a good thing I didn't bring it. Happy holiday. Merry Christmas. Welcome to the stream. We open at 10 o'clock today. So I started at 6 this morning. Merry Christmas. Welcome to the stream. I'm working today. Even though you might not believe it. Hamlin, Townsend, Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The river Weser, deep and wide, washed its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you've never spied. But when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats, and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats, and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests in the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking, to think we buy gowns lined with ermine, for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furries to the grove's ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, to find the remedy we are lacking, as sure as fate will send you packing." At this the mayor and corporation quaked with a mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. "For a guilder eyed my ermine gown sell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap." Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door but a gentle tap. "Bless us," cried the mayor, "what's that?" With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wondrous fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister than a too long opened oyster, save when at noon his paunch grew mutinous, for a plate of turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. "Come in," cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin, but lips where smile went out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone." He advanced towards the council table, and "Please, your honour," said he, "I am able, by means of secret charm, to draw all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, mole and toad and newt and viper. People call me the Pied Piper." And here they noticed round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat of self-same check, and that scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. "Yes," said he, "Pied Piper as I am, in Tartaria fled the Cam, last June from his huge swarms of gnats. I eased in Asia the Nizam, of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders?" 50,000 was the exclamation, an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept to blow his pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, he heard as if an army muttered, and a muttering grew to a grumbling, and a grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling. Great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, grave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails, pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the pipe piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who, stout as Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to Ratland home his commentary, which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe into the cider presses gripe. and a moving away of pickle tub boards, and leaving a jar of conserve cupboards, and a drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and a breaking hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice sweeter far than by harp or by psalteries breathed, called out, "Oh, rats, rejoice! The world has grown to a vast dry saltery. So munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just a bulky sugar punch on. Already stayed like a great sun shone, gracious scarce an inch before me, just as me thought it said come bore me, I found the west rolling over me." You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells so they rocked the steeple. "Go," cried the mayor, "and get long poles, poke with finesse and block up the holes, consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats." When suddenly up the face of the piper perked to the marketplace, the first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders! The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too, for council dinners made rare havoc with claret, moselle, vin de grave hawk, and half the money would replenish their cellar's biggest butt of Rhenish, to pay this sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to put in your poke. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, was in joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come take 50. The piper's face fell, and he cried, "No trifling, I can't wait beside. I promise to visit by dinner time Baghdad, and accept the prime of the head cook's potage. All he's rich in, for having left in the caliph's kitchen, of a nest of scorpions no survivor. With him I prove no bargain driver. With you don't think I'll bait a stiver. And folks who put me in a passion may find me pipe after another passion." "How," cried the mayor, "do you think I brook, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vesture Bible? Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst." Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe of smooth gray cane, and Eric knew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes that the musician's cutting never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like bustling, a merry crowd jesting and pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, and little tongues chattering, like foals in the farmyard or barley is scattering. Out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping ran merrily after. Wonderful music with shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood as if they're changed in the blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by. Could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat as the piper turned from the high street to where the Weser rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. How he returned from south to west, and took up over a hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. He never crossed the mighty top, he's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cabin was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced, and the children followed. And when all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No, one was lame, and could not dance the whole of the way. And then after years, if you would blame the sadness, he was used to say, "As dull in our town since my playmates left, I can't forget that I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights I see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town in jest at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers forth fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was bred a peacock here, and their dogs outran a fellow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot be speedily cured, the music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas, for Hamelin, there came to many a burgher's pate a text which says at heaven's gate opes the rich at as easy rate as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor said east, west, north, and south, proffer the piper by word of mouth, wherever it was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw 'twas lost endeavor, and piper and dancer were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, in the better memory fixed, the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing piper tabor was sure for his future to lose his labor, nor suffered they hospital or tavern, shocked with mirth the street so solemn, and opposite the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not admit to say that in Transylvania there's a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress which their neighbors lay such stress to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison into which they were trepanned a long time ago in a mighty band out of Hamlin towns and Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers of scores out with all men, especially pipers. And if they should pipe us free from rats or from mice, if we promise not, let us keep our promise.